Hello, everybody. It's Meg. Okay, so sorry for the clickbait picture. I didn't really get rid of any decks. I just reorganized and did like a thing for a reason. I just want to like say a few things about like the concepts of like deck collection and deck consumerism and stuff like that. I don't care about it. I think that it's everyone's personal business. It's none of my business. That sounds bad. I like watching people's videos when they're like, "Hey, like this is a thing that like I'm struggling with and these are the ways that I'm handling it." And I'm like, "Yes, I love, thank you so much for letting me be a part of your personal journey. I think that's really like special and cool and I like that." And I really don't like when people say, as a community, we should I don't care what you think we should or shouldn't be talking about or doing. Like, I don't like that. That's really rude. um,
I'm also personally a big fan of like being the change you want to see. So instead of like complaining about everyone else's videos or the content or something like that, just make the videos, just do make the videos that you want to see, and the people who want to see them will come to you, right? Instead of being like lamenting that like there's too much of this or too much of that. Well, change that, Like you have the power. Do it.
Anyway, so I am making my own little personal journey video, I guess, about this. And some of the things that I want to say is that in the past, I've gotten rid of like some vintage clothing I guess I should preface this with saying that I have a really weird relationship to things. When I was a kid, we lived in like duplexes and rental properties and we moved around a lot. And I don't really have many things from my childhood. I don't, there was like not a lot of structure and consistency, and we were like poor. I didn't have things. And then when I was in my early 20s, when I was like 20, when I was 20 years old, I had a cokehead roommate who stole all of my stuff, like kicked me out. Like it was absolutely ridiculous. And it was a lot of like personal and what is sentimental like things, which is why I may have mentioned that before, but that's one of the reasons that like I've mentioned like, I have the Intuitive Night Goddess, but I have two copies of it because one is messed up and it's the one my mom gave me, and I'm just like really sentimental and like weird about things. And I know that that's why. And then there was another time in my 20s when I was homeless and I didn't have anything anymore again. Once again, I had nothing. And I was living on someone's floor and in my car. Anyway, so, cool. Fun stuff. So I definitely have like a sort of weird, I don't know if it's weird, but I have like a relationship to things that's maybe I feel a little bit more attached to things and I have a harder time letting go of things than other people might. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. I think that everyone's different. But I also want to say that back in the day, I used to get rid of things and be really impulsive, because what I found was that I was sort of, I would feel this like general overwhelm or these like general feelings of like, things aren't right, something's wrong, I'm bad. And I would sort of project it onto like my possessions too, which is fine. The decks can handle it. The clothes, the books, they can all handle it, right? But again, I have a hard time letting things go. So there's definitely been times where I'm like, I got rid of like, oh my God, you guys. One time I had this 90s, like vintage 90s are vintage, like fruit dress. There was like a button up and a tie in the back. And it was just like, oh my God, it was so freaking cute. And I got rid of it. And I think about it sometimes. Like, why did I do that? I loved that dress. And I haven't been able to find like a comparable fruit print dress at all. It was like jewel toned. I had to delete all photos of it because anytime I would come across them or see them, I would get so bummed out. But anyway, so I learned my lesson about that too, like riding the wave of like this overwhelm that I'm projecting. It still happens, but with clothes, like I'm like, okay, I'll just be like sitting in my room, and like in our house there's not really like a lot of closet space, and I have a lot of clothes. Like, you think I have a lot of decks, I have a lot of clothes also, and I have a lot of flower essences also, and I have a lot of books also. But that's pretty much it. But anyway, it's just like all the things you need, right? Like, so I have a clothing rack like hanging on the wall in my room, and sometimes I would be sitting in my room and be like, oh my god, I don't even go anywhere, I don't wear these clothes. And that's been difficult too with like agoraphobia stuff, is like I don't really go anywhere. Like, I have so many shoes, dude, and like I never wear shoes. Like, I wear like the same 3 pairs of shoes if I like go out somewhere, because I'm not going anywhere like special or interesting. I'm just going to like the co-op or the doctor's, you know. But anyway, I'm not gonna get rid of them because I'm gonna be better and go places, and then I'm gonna be like, damn, I wish I had more shoes. But I would sit and like look at my clothes and be like, oh my god, I have too many clothes. This is overwhelming. Like, I don't even wear all of these. Why do I have these? And I just ride that wave. I just let it go. It's like any other anxiety. It's like any other sort of like blip in the emotional state thing, right? So that's how I've handled that. Also, how I sometimes wonder if this is what's going on with people in this community too, because I think that this is a space. I really don't like scoldy like behavior on TarotTube, because I think that this is a space where a lot of people who have had difficult lives, difficult childhoods maybe, because some people come to these things just because it's going to happen, you know, like they're born into it. And I identify with both of these things, honestly. And some people come to these things because they're searching for meaning, and because they've had a lot of pain, right? And I just really don't like scoldy stuff on here. I honestly feel like crying. It makes me so sad, man. Like, just that people would come to this space to want to connect with other people who have the same interests that maybe have made them feel othered, or like bad in the past, or trying to reach out to find like a spiritual connection with people and themselves in themselves, because of bad things that have happened to them in their lives. And I think that a lot of, and this is how my life has been too in the past, where I was seeking out like pain and problems, and making problems where there weren't any, because that's where I was comfortable. I was comfortable being like having my nervous system be in a chronically like alert state, and that it's still true. Like, that's, I mean, now it's just sort of like always keyed on to that space, but that's because of the like replaying like cycles of abuse and stuff like that in my life, like seeking that out, having bad boundaries, not being assertive, like things like that. And I don't know. I just wonder if like that's happening too for people, that like that they are sad and like experiencing upheaval, or like feelings of overwhelm, and then projecting it onto having a lot of decks, or any of these things. Like, oh, this must be the problem, when like it's the same way where all the things you need you have, right? Like, those things you have already. Well, all of the problems that you think you have outside of yourself, you know, it's a mirror, right? Like, this is actually like something that's happening inside of you. Anyway, I get really sad like when people are sort of like I said, I don't like the shoulds. We should do this and we shouldn't do that, or something like, I don't know, because it feels like a lot of people come to these spaces without agency, without like, and that goes for like everyone. It's just like we live in such a state of things where we feel so powerless to change things and to like do anything in our lives, and it's really sad. And I understand that like curating and like collecting and like doing all these things are ways to like exert control, and that also goes for like, you know, getting rid of things, and like feeling all these different types of types of ways. Anyway, I don't really know what I'm talking about. I don't even know if that made sense, but it's just like, it's I just wanted to say that stuff. I've been wanting to say it for like a really, really long time. And like, I just like haven't, because I don't want to perpetuate or continue the conversation, honestly, because like I said, I don't like the implications that like there's a depth is beyond someone's reach because they like have a lot of decks or they like enjoy these things. And also that like, I don't know. Anyway, so what I've done is I'm working through reorganizing. I have filmed this like several times, so I don't know what I've already said about that specifically. In which I put all my decks in the bin, and then I was going back to get my vampire deck, one of a few, and I opened the box and was like, oh, I can just get rid of like these 4 decks like right away. Like I don't want these, you know. And not having them in my face all the time allowed me to recognize that experience, to be like, oh, okay, actually, like, I don't want this. Like, I'm not having, like, some sort of proximity, like, relationship to these things. Like, they're just cards, man. I feel like Wendy always says that. Man, they're just cards. I mean, obviously, we know that they're, like, so much more than that, but also they are just decks of cards. So I just, like, put them on my little shelf and not pay attention to them. And that's what it's been what's been happening. I think I did mention that I have, like, 11 decks on my desk right now, which is, like, totally fine. Like, I have all this space in which I can, like, you know, put my sewing machine on here. I can sew. You guys, I have a sewing machine. I can learn to sew. Because I need so many bags. But anyway, I don't know. I just wanted to, like, talk about the project that I'm doing. So it's not really done. It's just a reorganization thing.
I've said nothing in this take. Okay, so I basically just took all of my decks off of my shelves and I put them in a bin. And I just did the thing where I was like, okay, which ones do I actually really want to keep out right now that I'm using right now? Or, you know, want to be referencing right now, or see in my space right now. And it wasn't like I love this deck or I hate this deck or any of that. Like I put some decks that I absolutely love away. Road to Nowhere, Oracle, like just, you know, absolute go-tos. And it sort of evolved, and I eventually, over the last few weeks, took them out of the bin and ended up getting rid of several of them, and I might mention that at some point. I literally don't know what I'm fucking talking about. Like, I made this video so many times, so it's just difficult.
And people have been commenting that they want to hear about the abbreviated collection thing. I just don't want it to be like Instagram. I don't want to be like, you know, so this is what happens on social media. This is why, one of the reasons I don't like it. So people are like, you see a post and it's like about gun violence, let's say. And you're like, oh my, like you're emotionally, you're like, oh my God, that's so horrible. That's terrible. And then you just scroll past it and you've completely forgotten about it. And there's like no mindful consumption at all. It's not like it's desensitizing us to like horrific shit because it's constantly there. And it's like way worse than the news was, and the news was always bad, right? Like it's nuts, man. And it's like, so like one second you're seeing like a cute little baby being like played with and stuff and being like, oh, cute little baby, right? And then the next second you're seeing like people being murdered in another country because of war. And you're just like flipping through that like emotional like change. And it's obviously not the same comparison because decks don't do those same things, but I didn't want to be switching so quickly between things. And I don't know. I just wanted to be mindful of that because that's one of the reasons I don't go on social media. I also don't think that it's like, for me, because I'm not trying to sell anything, it's not like a useful thing. And I really like connecting with people, but I prefer connecting with people in like a more substantial way. And I have made a lot of friends on Instagram, which is cool. But I don't need to like continue to be on there. Like this is my preference. So I didn't want my decks to be that way. I didn't want to just like sit here and have all these different decks that are in front of me on my desk, because I'm sitting at my desk now. I'm an adult. I'm sitting on a chair. And and be like, okay, I'm working with this deck right now and I'm pairing it with these few oracles. Oh, but oh man, I really want to use that one, so I'm gonna use that one instead. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't want to be doing that constantly. I wanted to be able to pay more attention to the ones that I was using. And that was sort of the thing too. I mean, it's like when you go on Netflix, right? And you're like, you just end up, you're like, what should we watch? And you just end up scrolling for like 40 minutes instead of like watching a movie. It was sort of like that. It's easy to fix. Like, I'm just being more mindful of this, you know? Like, I don't need to get rid of all my I like a variety. I'm a maximalist in general. Like, I don't know. I like things, you know, I like little things around.
This is the shelves. The top part is a palette turned into shelves that my fake husband made. And this is like all my decks. You can see it's sagging a little bit right there. Very nice. He has a fix for that. I'm only doing this so you can't see a picture of me and my BFF. Yes, so this is where the majority of the decks that I have are. Cool. And these are the 4 shelves that have decks on them. That's what's around. I put decks in one basket that I'm not using in a filing cabinet, and that's it. And so thank you. Thank you for watching this video, sticking it out. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I can't wait for the comments, LOL.